Hey everyone, Liz Merrick again with the Sugar Geek Show. Welcome back to the wedding cake series. In this episode, I'm going to be teaching you how to put beautiful fresh flowers safely, food safely, on your wedding cake. You don't want to miss this one. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and start talking about the different types of flowers that you can put onto your cake. Obviously, I'm not a florist, so I just buy my flowers at the grocery store. Some higher end stores like Whole Foods or New Seasons carry some really nice flowers. So I just went there and picked out a bouquet that was kind of already put together, and it had some big flowers and some little flowers and some greenery, and I just sort of separated those out so that you can see them. This bouquet cost me $6, so it wasn't that expensive and not that big of an investment. I put them in some water to keep them nice and fresh. If you're traveling with flowers, then you're gonna want to keep them in water to keep them fresh by wrapping them in maybe a plastic bag and putting them in a bucket with just a little bit of water in the bottom to just keep them from drying out. If I am setting up a wedding cake for a client, typically the florist provides the flowers for me. I never let the florist put the flowers on the cake because they tend to just stab them into the cake, and there is a lot of pesticides and chemicals inside flowers to keep them fresh and healthy, but it's not good to eat. So it's really important that you prepare your flowers properly so that you're not eating pesticides and you're not feeding pesticides to anybody else. That's not good. So to actually make your flowers food safe, you don't need a lot of fancy materials. I'm using floral tape. This just happens to be pink. That's what I had on hand, but most common color is green. To use floral tape, floral tape is something that cake decorators use to cover the wires of sugar flowers before inserting them into a cake, but it works just as well to cover the stems of fresh flowers before inserting them into a cake. So this is something I use. Some scissors to trim down your flowers and some plastic wrap. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just kind of cut a couple pieces of plastic wrap, or you can tear them. I'm going to be placing just a little bouquet of flowers right up here on the top, and then a couple of them on the side. Very common arrangement of flowers that I did many times when I was making cakes for wedding cake clients, so I'll show you how I did that. First thing you're gonna do is kind of pick your main bunch of flowers. Take this little fluffy daisy, pick off any leaves, and then you're just gonna take a little square of your plastic wrap. This is really too big. You don't need that much. Just maybe 3 inches by 3 inches. And I'm just gonna place that right around the bottom. And what this does is it traps any water from leaking out of the flour into the cake. And then I'm going to take some of my florist tape, maybe about 6 or 8 inches, and I'm going to stretch it to activate it. This has wax in it, and that's what makes it sticky. And then starting at the bottom, I'm just going to wrap it around tightly and just go up, up, up until this whole stem is covered. And some people, argue about whether or not fresh flowers can be used on cakes at all because, they do spray flowers with pesticides as well, which could be touching your cake. That's true. I feel like the risk of, surface pesticides really getting on your cake is very low, but especially since people have been putting fresh flowers on cakes for hundreds of years and nobody has died that I know of. But making sure that you don't actually leak pesticides into the cake, I think, is valid. And I take some of these roses. I think they're really cute. You can just kind of hold them up, see how they look together. When you're thinking about making an arrangement on a cake, you want kind of like one big flower, a couple of smaller flowers, and then some filler flowers, so either really small flowers or leaves. Using the plastic wrap also helps the flowers keep their moisture. It's like making a tiny little vase, because then all the water stays in the stem instead of leaking out into the cake. Have some of this seeded eucalyptus, very, very in right now. Kind of have that hanging over the side. Peel off any long leaves. All right, so now we can kind of start making our arrangement. This little guy will bend like this. I'm just gonna put him to the side, and I'm just gonna have like a flower, a couple little smaller roses, small filler flowers, a couple little flowers on the other side. So main flower in the middle, smaller flowers off to the side. And then you can just place these into your cake one at a time or in a group, whichever feels most natural to you. I think I'm gonna go here first. And this one. And this little leaf guy right here. Have a little bit of a hole right there, so I'm gonna place another flower. Put a couple of leaves over here. Kind of balance it out. When I would deliver my cakes and I knew that I had to put fresh flowers on them, I would give myself an hour to set up the flowers because I didn't want to feel rushed. And sometimes it would take an hour. Probably because I'm not a florist and I'm slow. And then I'm just gonna add one here. Definitely a smaller bouquet. Just a little something to help lead your eye around the cake, but doesn't overtake it. Right here. Go. Beautiful. Beautiful. I think that looks gorgeous. Okay, that's everything you need to know about how to put fresh flowers on your wedding cake so it's food safe. If you want more tutorials like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now and ding the bell so you get notified every time I come out with new tutorials just like this one. New recipes and tutorials on Tuesdays. Bye guys!